systems and all kinds of things to that. So when I was checking the weather before the couple weeks before I came out, it was high of 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and hey, that looks good. That looks a great backdrop. That's nice. And it had some rain, and the evenings were cool, like low 60s, and so I brought dress shirts. I really brought 3 t-shirts. I even brought a little umbrella and a jacket. I was like, I didn't know what to expect. And then I get here, and every day walking over here, I'm sweating buckets. It takes me an hour to stop sweating.
Yeah, the summer came back.
Yeah, which I'm grateful for. I'd rather have that than rainy and, miserable. But the mornings are tough when I do that walk.
So it's 9 o'clock. We're good soon. In 1 minute, I go live on Instagram. Check for if there is some breakfast for us. Are you vegetarian or vegan?
No.
Here's some cheese.
Oh, thank you.
No coffee for you?
No, thank you. But I would love some water if there's some.
Yes. So, this is, you know the Mevo cam? Like live following?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Tech.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So, let's go live here.
Okay, and we're talking about job hunting, finding your first job out of school, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And we started with presenting you.
Awesome.
Or you presenting you. Oh, we have a little bit overexposed there on Instagram, I think.
Yeah, looks like
If you
it.
come a little bit closer. So, better microphone.
Are we live already?
Yeah, just put in a better microphone. Okay, now we go live. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Ooh, this is like TV show.
With the director and the actors in the same shot.
Yeah. So, now we hope it works here and the sound is good. Give us some feedback here on Instagram. We're also streaming on YouTube. It's the Hicks channel. If you Google Hicks Hi Brian, you can find it. We're also going to share it on Facebook. The quality is a little bit better on YouTube regarding the sound. So, but now, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited
Michael.
to be here. Yeah.
Mickey or Michael?
Michael.
Yeah,
Michael.
great to
And
have you.
Last name is Janda. That's how we say it in America.
Janda.
Janda.
Yeah.
But if you were it's a Czech name, and I would suppose they would say Janda, right?
In Sweden, you mean?
Maybe. I mean, in a lot of Europe or Eastern Europe, it's probably Janda. But I'll answer to anything.
Do you have any background information where your name comes from?
It's Czech. It's a Czech name, and
Okay.
allegedly,
Czech,
it means son of Jan or son of John.
Okay.
So in America, it would be like Johnson. But in America, everybody thinks, oh, that's a cool last name. But if you're in Czechoslovakia or Czech Republic now, I would suppose it'd be just like Johnson, which is not common.
Your
or it is
ancestors
common.
are from Czechoslovakia.
Yeah. Well, I'm 25% Sweden. Swedish.
Okay, you
Yeah.
made like this DNA thing.
My mom is like way into that genealogy,
yeah.
and she traced our ancestors and everything.
Cool.
Yeah.
You see here in the Instagram, you maybe
Need to be over a little.
Yeah. And let's turn down the light a little. We are a little bit overexposed here, I think. So sound is the sound good? Just wave if you think the sound is good. Yeah, hands up here. Yeah, cool.
Okay, good. Yeah, so my mom traced all her ancestors back. 25% Swedish. I have German, a variety of different places that we've come from. But because I'm 25% Swedish, the food has been great here.
And that's why. How many times have you been to Sweden?
This is my first.
This is your first
My
time?
first time, yeah. So I'm excited. Yeah. It's been awesome.
Hyper Island.
Yeah. It's been so good. I've loved it. And Karlskrona is awesome. It's such a great little town.
you.
Yeah, no, it's so good. Like if you lived in Sweden, I would say retire to Karlskrona. It's a good life here. It's a good life.
Yeah, we have many tourists coming.
Yeah, I'm sure. The islands and water everywhere and just cool old architecture. It looks like Sweden. You know, if you've seen pictures of Sweden, Karlskrona looks just like what you would imagine. It's just awesome. I love it. Yeah.
So just to finish up that with names, my name is Teichgräber, and it means pond digger.
Pond digger.
Pond digger. Yes.
Yes.
So my ancestors they digged ponds.
Yes.
They were builders.
They were hard workers. That's good. That's good heritage.
In Germany, of course.
Yeah.
So I scanned over your book a little bit.
Okay.
Burn Your Portfolio. And I got curious about your background and how you, after your studies, right? You were struggling to find a job.
Yes.
And then you became finally an entrepreneur. But that started with that time studying.
Yeah,
because that's where we are. We are here at a vocational school, right?
When I went to school in Indiana University in the United States, and it's a good school. They have a great business program. I decided to study, this is the short version, I decided to study studio art. They didn't have a graphic design program. Okay. It was too early, and back then it was kind of called commercial art. So this was a long time ago. And so I went to the art program, studied studio art, had as many drawing and painting and ceramics classes as I did graphic design classes. And I really learned the design fundamentals in all of those things, because color theory and composition strategies for painting apply to graphic design as well. So if you understand those fundamentals, you can transition them to any kind of design. So I learned all of those things, but I graduated and I had my big portfolio and I couldn't find a job. It was awful. Because I thought, oh, now I have a college degree, now people will hire me. And that wasn't the case, because my portfolio was just student work. It wasn't good. And so it was I spent like 2 months trying to find a job and just got emotionally to the bottom of the barrel. I just was like sad, thinking, what a waste of 4 years studying. And then I finally got a job, and it was the lowest end job. It was at a copy store. Yeah, the lowest end design job. I was making the same amount of money that I was making working at the library at my college job as a student. Yeah, but that really just kind of sparked me to say, what am I doing here? I'm better than this. And so I started to just self-educate, learn everything that I could. I'm a big proponent of self-education. You go to school, you learn the foundation, but as a designer or a creative person, you can't stop learning. It's all changing so much. So school just gets you to the start. It gets you the foundation you need, but when you get out of school, you have to be watching YouTube channels, you have to be doing courses, online courses and things, you have to be reading blogs and books, you have to just keep working or you're going to get left behind, especially now. It's changing. 10 years ago,
exponentially.
10 years ago, we didn't have mobile devices.
No.
And now how many designers are employed in the world building interfaces for mobile apps?
Yeah, now we
Millions.
broadcasting here, and to broadcast already for 10 years when I worked for German television. I mean, to broadcast, you needed to have a van outside here, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a big deal, and now we're just two people with a setup that we do ourselves.
A phone.
And a phone, and you just So it's totally changing. So if you don't stay up on it after you graduate from school, the whole industry is going to change without you, and you're going to find yourself like a print designer today, not being able to get a job because very few places hire just a print designer. You have to have some digital, or you have to have some brand strategy or something else that is still relevant today.
I like the expression that we're currently going through 20 Gutenberg moments. Right?
20 Gutenberg moments,
Like the inventor of the printing press. That changed communication for everyone and changed our society where we are today. And when I read through your book, I didn't honestly read
that's okay.
I was thinking, you learned some skills at college that you needed as a graphic designer, I guess. But you talk much about the other skills, and that was where I think, okay, that's what we're trying to do, to educate, or to facilitate the learning for our students, to learn what most people would call soft skills. I don't like the expression because it's hard to learn.
That's a good point. Right.
How to get a job, how to communicate. So what's your perspective on developing as a person?
So my perspective is that you have to work at it. I love the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Anybody who's heard me talk, I probably have mentioned that book. It's a must read for like everybody in society. But it teaches you soft skills, that's all it is. And at the start of the book, Dale Carnegie, the author, says that 15% of your success in your career is due to your technical knowledge, like what you can do. 85% is due to your skill in human engineering, is what he calls it. But today we call it soft skills. It's your people skills, it's leadership skills, it's presentation skills, it's the client management elements, it's all of those interaction skills that are so important, and that's 85% of your success. And the reason that that's so important as a creative is that as you progress in your career, you'll eventually get promoted out of even doing the design work. Like I got, a handful of years.
The Peter principle.
You don't do it anymore. Now you just manage other people doing the design work, and you spend all your time in a strategy meeting, in a client meeting, in employee reviews. You're spending all your time interacting with people because you've gotten so good at the craft that you've been promoted out of doing the actual thing, So that's the challenge, and that's why soft skills are so important, because if you don't have them, then you're going to cap out in your creative career as just being a really good person who can design, but you'll never get the promotion to a creative director because you don't have the skills to lead a team, and so your salary or your career progress will cap. Now, some people are fine with that. Some people love designing, and that's all they want to do, and that's fine. They just have to know that there's going to be a threshold when they can no longer make more money, because the value of the design is only a certain amount in a business. But when you can lead and manage other people, now all of a sudden your value expands. So going back to the original question, soft skills, for me, that's why that's so important. You got to have and build those kinds of skills. So there are a lot of different ways you can do it. You can model the behavior of other people. You'll work at places and there will be somebody there who has amazing leadership and soft skills. Start paying attention to them and taking notes and trying to act the way that they act in meetings so that you can turn it into who you are. So that's one way. Either you can study it. I mean, the book I've just mentioned, How to Win Friends and Influence People, it's a great starting point, but you can study that as well. And you can watch people on YouTube too, you know, people like Tony Robbins and Gary Vaynerchuk. They just have amazing soft skills. You know, the way they interact with people.
And influence people.
Just amazing at it. And so you can watch those people and start to model behaviors. But you got to practice it just like anything else.
Talking about making a career and money, you discovered that you can make more money as a freelancer, and I think there are maybe some differences between US and Sweden.
Sure.
What do you started your agency, and then you were overloaded with work, right?
Yes.
And your wife forced you to
So it feels like you read the whole book.
No, the first pages. But they were quite interesting.
That's good. So that was I started freelancing, and I was so afraid to hire people. I didn't have business skills, and I didn't have business confidence, and so I was so afraid to hire people that I got to where I was working 80-hour weeks, just freelancing. I would say yes to everything, afraid to say no. So I would say yes to every project. Yes to every project, and I was making a ton of money. But it got to where I couldn't make any more because there were no more hours for me to spend. 80 hours a week, you have nothing left. You know, it was 6 days a week and 12, 13, 14,
and I guess
15
you had no
hour
energy
days.
left for your family.
And and it was hard. You know, I was really stressed and it was really challenging. My wife forced me to hire my first person. And by the end of that year, I had 5 employees. By the end of the year after, I had 12 employees, and just started growing. After I got over that initial fear, it was like, oh, now it's just expanding, and then it just grew from there. So that's, I love the little quote, and it's kind of cliche, but it's like life begins at the end of your comfort zone, something like that, you know? So you have to get out of your comfort zone to progress in life. You gotta, if you're getting pushed to where you're like, I'm not sure if I can execute on this, I said yes, and I got to figure it out, that's when you really start growing. And that's what happened for me. You know, I kind of mastered the freelance thing, the solo freelancer life, but then I had to go to the next level to progress in my own personal career.
And to challenge your comfort zone is something where I tell the students often, because it's very good to be aware of your comfort zone, right? If you want to design and you want to be a motion designer, for example, what we have here, a program, or a UX designer, it's very good to be aware of your comfort zone. Because then you can challenge it, and then you can try out new roles, especially during a safe study time environment where you can be in team settings, and it's not seriously yet, but we try to train our students in real work settings with real clients. Right? And that's what Hyper Island has done for 20 years, and now there are other schools who do it, of course. But what would be your you say like things you don't learn at business school?
Or so, in design school.
In design school,
Things you don't learn in design school but should.
Yes, and I'm curious because I'm running a
design school
and business school. School now,
So that's the subtitle of my book, Burn Your Portfolio, and it came out of hiring my first few employees when I realized, wow, they're amazing designers, but they're not good at managing a client. They never were trained how to manage a client, or how to create proposals, or how to give presentations, or how to manage a project. And so there were a lot of little things like that I started to realize that design schools were missing in their training. And I know you do a great job of that here at Hyper Island, that your school is dedicated to that. But I think sometimes it's the 4-year schools, you know, the university level where you have to take 2 years of all kinds of things, psychology, sociology, history classes. You have a broad spectrum of classes. And one of the benefits of a design school is that you focus almost completely on design and then the tangents of design, some things like business concepts and strategies and things. And so that's a benefit to a school like Hyper Island that does a great job of just focused knowledge, focused delivery knowledge.
However, in academia, it's still many, I think people think, maybe less in Sweden, but in other countries, I know it's very important to have a degree, right?
Yeah.
Without a degree, you can't start anything in, for example, I know in Singapore or so. So, yeah, master's degree or something is a must-have if you want to get a good job. But that's changing, right?
Yes.
We see that to make a career and to have a good salary, entrepreneurial skills, both if you are employed or if you're a real an entrepreneur, gives you much more back during your life, right?
Yeah.
So, but in business school, I think it's still that we think, it's not maybe the degree, but that's the portfolio, right? In a creative school, in a design school, right? So the portfolio is a must-have. And how serious are you with that we should burn portfolios?
No, I'm not serious. So the idea of burn your portfolio is so important. The idea of the title of Burn Your Portfolio is this, that as you master soft skills, business skills, and design skills, you build a reputation. You build a reputation of, oh, Mike Janda is great at this, Jorg is great at this. And you, in your career, becomes your reputation. I don't need to show my portfolio to anybody anymore to get people to pay me to do consulting and business coaching and things.
I never need to show my master degree.
Yeah, you never do. And you probably, at this point too, you probably don't need to show your portfolio.
Yeah.
Do you need to show your portfolio to go and teach a course and have the respect of the people that are in there? No, because here at Hyper Island especially, people come into the school and you already have a reputation. Because the other students are like, oh, he's so great. He's going to teach you amazing things, and now all of a sudden that reputation becomes your catalyst for selling yourself. You don't need the portfolio anymore. And that's that's the idea of burn your portfolio. If you master the things in that book, you're building your career on your reputation, not your portfolio. But when you first get started and you leave school, because I was there, it's your portfolio that gets you the job opportunity. I have a thing that I share on, and it's in Burn Your Portfolio, but I'll give you just a little summary quickly here on the job hunting aspect. How do you find your first job out of school? One of the things you have to know is that your cover letter and your resume, that application, the whole entire goal of that is to get them to click your portfolio link. So you send, the people you're applying to are busy. They wouldn't be hiring if they weren't extremely busy. So you only have a few seconds to get them to click your portfolio link. So you send in your application. In the first paragraph, you say something like, hey, my name is so-and-so, and I'm really interested in your job. Try and make it something personal. Like, I went to your website and I was super impressed by the portfolio of your agency. Try and make something personal. Or I looked you up on LinkedIn and I see that you worked at this place. I love that company. I bet that was a cool experience. You try and make it something personal. So now they're like, okay, this isn't just generic. And then the next thing is, here's my portfolio link. I would love to be considered and come in and interview, and you try and get them to click that. Now you can add more after that, but you want to get them right to there because they're only giving you a few seconds. They're super busy.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, I'm just going to skim, click. And then to get to the portfolio, now you only have a few seconds to sell your design skills to them. So that portfolio link better have, in the very top section, some great design aesthetics. It better be impressive because they're going to judge you right there. And they may click on one project, maybe.
Yeah, if they have the time.
If they have the time. But they're going to judge you on that very first thing. Now you have to have all the other stuff. It has to look robust. It has to look like you've got talent and depth of skill. But it's going to be from them just a scroll. They're just going to give you a few seconds. They're going to scroll down. They're going to be like, okay, I'm interested at the resume cover letter phase. Now I'm looking at the portfolio. Okay, yeah, it looks good. And then they email you back right then and say, hey, I would love for you to come in for an interview. And then they schedule it and whatever. Then the next part of this process goes the interview. Now, this is a big thing that a lot of people don't know, that if you got to the interview, they've already judged your design ability. They're not judging the design ability anymore. They're judging you on whether you fit with their team, on whether you're passionate about the industry or their company. They judge whether you have the ability to self-educate, to fit in and learn their processes and progress in the business, to become, you start here, but do you have the potential to become an employee here in the business? They're judging those kinds of things, and they're judging your soft skills, a lot of that. They're judging whether, do I like you?
Yeah.
Are you going to fit? We got 10 people here, and we love each other. And if I bring you in and you're a jerk, you're going to ruin it for all of us. That's what they're judging in an interview. And a lot of designers think, I'm going in, I got to sell them on my ability to design. But most of the time, they're already sold on your ability to design before you even get in the door.
And this likability and this stuff when it comes to recruitment, I'm struggling with that as a recruiting manager, because I want to be fair in a recruitment process, right? And I don't want to only recruit people from our network, and I want to make a difference when it comes to diversity and so on. So it's very hard to have to put that part out then in the end. And how do you present your soft skills? That's something I think it would be interesting to discover. If you for example, if you would move through digital to anonymous recruitment processes, how would you evaluate soft skills?
An anonymous recruitment process, I don't
or
think,
if you erase gender and race and
so I mean, you definitely, as an employer, you have to erase gender and race and any other kind of discriminatory things. That's just fair employment worldwide, and that's so important. You have to erase that out of the equation. But I don't think that it's fair to erase soft skills, because that's so important. Like, I have to hire people who can sit with a client and interact with a client. It's part of the job description. They have to be able to do it, or I can't run my business.
That's why the interview is crucial, right?
Yeah, it's so
you
crucial.
sit there and then you have to present, you have to connect with people, and you have to ask questions, be curious and so on. You have to present yourself in a professional way.
Yeah.
Right? So, and then you can estimate how the person who works in client presentations.
Now, it's not every employee. Every employee doesn't have to be that, because I had a lot of employees who had no soft skills at all. I still hired them. It wasn't
engineers.
I wasn't going to say that, but you. So I said we weren't. I said we weren't going to discriminate against people, but you're discriminating against all programmers. So, but sometimes it's programmers have more, just in the quirkiness of the style of people. A lot more introverted people are in that, and they like to just zone in and code. And so sometimes you don't have employees in certain. And even designers, because some designers are that way too, and that's okay. But I would hire those kinds of people, but I never viewed those people as the person who's going to go from here in my company to here in my company.
So we don't need only the big influences and social competent people.
Yeah, you don't need those. Yeah,
like a team of only leading personalities is just.
It's too much.
It's too much.
You've got to have, the chief and the.
That's why I like more if we talk about active membership than always leader. Membership.
That's great. Active membership. I love that. So that they are a valuable contribution to the team, but they're not necessarily the leader of the team, because you can't have all leaders. But when we're talking about soft skills and leadership and things. For most designers, they want to have a successful career of progress and growth and promotions, and a lot of designers, they go to school and they have the vision of someday I'm going to be an art director or creative director. It's going to be great. Or I'm going to start my own agency.
That's what I often hear during the interviews. During admissions.
Yeah.
We have a question here.
Oh, okay, awesome. I love questions.
Let's see. Showed my portfolio last night in a nightclub here in London to Apple's head of design.
Ooh.
I've never had to show it to anyone before, but I'm so glad I had it available last night. Now burn it.
Hey, after you get a job at Apple,
It's from Hates. So, yeah, I don't see the name.
after you get a job at Apple and Apple is on your resume, all of a sudden your portfolio itself means less. It's less.
Much less.
It's less important because now you're marketing yourself as, hey, I'm a designer or an art director or whatever at Apple, and now they've judged you already because they think, oh, if Apple will hire them, I'm going to hire him. I don't even need to see the portfolio. If it's good enough for Apple, it's good enough for me. And so that's the idea of, okay, now burn it. Yeah, you do enough of that, you can. My career, my biggest client was Disney over 13 years. And then our last 3 years, our biggest client was Google. And we did work for Warner Brothers and NBC and Fox and National Geographic, all these clients. And so I can just market my client logos now. I can say, hey, I did work for all these companies, and people think he must be amazing if he can do work for that. They don't need to see the actual work to know it. So that's the idea of burn your portfolio. So kudos to you on the Apple interview. That's awesome.
And that good that you had your portfolio available at the nightclub. It's being ready, right?
Yeah, you have to have it. I mean, this isn't like I threw away my portfolio. After I sold my agency, the portfolio was everything. I worked at the agency I sold to for a couple of years, and we had all the projects in the portfolio. When we would sit with clients and they would start talking about their needs, it was always go to the portfolio and show them what we did for a similar client to them. So you're using it as a sales thing, but I didn't sell my agency because of my portfolio. I didn't sell it because of the client didn't come to us because of the portfolio. They came to us because of reputation. And the portfolio you use differently. It becomes the catalyst to show how you can solve the problems for this client by showing what you solved for a similar client in the past. So it becomes kind of a sales cycle thing. Yeah.
Cool. Breakfast?
Yeah.
We have some home-baked Swedish buns with
and
cheese.
Some bananas and 2 apples.
Cool. Just gonna push that camera. So, because I would like to ask you for some 1-minute content.
Awesome.
5 things you should be aware of, or 5 tips to land your first job in the creative industry.
Oh, okay, so this is a good one. 5 tips to land your first job in the creative industry. The first one is have a custom logo. Brand yourself, personal branding. So you make a logo for yourself, you make put your name under it, all those things. You have to have a personal brand so that you need to look like a designer. So personal branding is the first element. The second is that personal branding goes into the aesthetics of your resume. People will judge your design ability based on just your resume. They'll look at it. I did it all the time. It's like, if this looked like a default Microsoft Word resume template, then I was like, aren't you a designer? This is what I would think in my head. Aren't you a designer? Because the designer's resume should be designed. Now, I'm not a fan of people going crazy on the design of a resume, but you can make it designed with the subtle aesthetics, your color choices, your leading, the font choices, all those things, just the subtle, clean aesthetics. Don't make it crazy, but just make it nice and polished, clean design, because you'll be judged on that. So those are the first 2 things. I mentioned a couple of the other ones. Your resume, a custom cover letter. Don't just be a generic applicant. Be the applicant who has done a little research. In your cover letter or your email to the potential employer, you're telling them something that you are interested about their company. So go to their website, go to their social media, connect with them on LinkedIn, and then you can start your cover letter saying, hey, I just connected with you on LinkedIn. I'm super excited about your job opportunity. Now they go to LinkedIn and they check you out on LinkedIn. They look at your picture, they look at your background there. So, and you've made a personal connection. So do everything you can to try and make a personal connection with the potential employer before you go to get your job. What am I on now? Number 3? That's 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
3.5.
Okay, 3.5. And then let's say the other one, and I mentioned this already as well in the earlier conversation, but I don't think it's in this video, is that if you get the interview, 9 times out of 10, they've already judged your ability to design. And you're there to sell you. Your ability, you're trying to sell yourself as somebody who fits in their team. You're trying to sell yourself as the person who can solve their problem. And they have a problem, or they would not be interviewing. So you should ask them, hey, why are you hiring somebody right now? What are you trying to solve in your business? And sometimes they're going to tell you, hey, we need somebody with motion graphics because we get motion graphics work and we don't have anybody who can do it. Now you know, okay, I better talk about my motion graphics abilities and show them my sizzle reel and things. Sometimes it's going to be, well, we just have way too much work. We're buried. Our people are working too many hours and we need to hire somebody because we need more production hours. Now you're going to talk about the speed that you can do. I can work super fast. I was always the first one done and did the best work out of everybody in my class. You're trying to sell yourself. So you want to understand the problem that they have and position yourself to fill that problem. And a lot of people applying for jobs, they don't even ask. I always say, hey, what questions do you have for me?
Yeah.
And they don't, and they say, I don't think you answered everything. I'd like to talk. So I would talk a lot in the interview, and I felt the need to sell them on the company, but so I would answer a lot of questions.
Yeah.
But
the skill of asking the right questions to me.
Yeah, it's so important. And it can make the difference on you getting a job because they have a problem. You've got to position yourself to fill that problem. Okay, so I think that was 4, 4.5, maybe 5.
I can help you with the last one.
Yeah, yeah.
I think consider to make a real effort, because what I've read a research about how many applications you need to get an interview. Can you guess? It's an average based on a research in Sweden.
I'm going to guess to get an interview, 30.
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Well, is that the number?
Yeah, between 25 and 30.
Yes, good.
And how many interviews do you need to get a job?
I'm going to guess 5.
Woo!
Is that right?
Yes. Between 5 and 7. So now you can make the math, right?
Okay, well, so I understand that because I reverse engineered those numbers. I hired, over the course of my career, I employed and hired 168 designers. And my numbers are that I would usually interview 5 people before I found the one that I wanted. Yeah. And I would usually see around 30 resumes to find the 5 people that I wanted to hire.
Good that you can prove these numbers.
Yeah, so I'm so glad. I'm glad I got it right.
But that means, as a job seeker, or that you have to really don't give up after your 30th application, right?
Yeah.
If you get 10 no's, that's nothing. You have to count with 100, 125, real quality applications, you mentioned, personal contacts and so on, to land that job.
Yeah. And the other thing too, I think that just came to me as you were talking, don't be sad if you don't get the job. You don't want to be a misfit in a job. If they don't hire you, it's because you don't fit for some reason. It may be your skill set. It may be that somebody else fit the skills better. It may be that they wanted a certain soft skill for client relations or something and you didn't have it yet in your life. But you don't want to be in a position where you're in a position that's beyond your capability level or in a position that's too low for your capability level. I didn't hire some people because they were too good for the job that I had. They would be bored. I didn't hire them because it was, they should be somewhere else where that was a better fit for them. So it's a good thing if you don't get the job, because you don't want to have the awkwardness of going to work every day feeling outclassed for yourself and where you are. So it's all kind of a lot of people, they don't get the job and they're like, oh no, I'm a loser.
Yeah.
But it's not that you're a loser, it's just that it wasn't the right fit. That's all it was.
And it's the mindset of failing better the next time.
Yeah. And you want to keep going until you find the fit. Hey, here's another little thing too. Have some self-esteem when you're job hunting, because you're interviewing the companies just as much as they're interviewing you. You're looking for the fit for you. You're looking for what's going to make you feel good. You're trying to interview them. So I always ask, hey, what questions do you have for me? And I'm always sad when they don't ask questions, but I want them to ask things like, tell me about your culture here. Why do people like working here? How long do employees stay at this company? You have to make the employer work to get you as well, not just the other side. And a lot of times as designers, we're insecure and needy as a whole. And we go in and we're just like, oh, please hire me, please. That's what we think. But the reality is that the employer, every interview I ever had, I'm sitting there thinking, before the interview starts, I'm thinking, I hope that this is the last interview I have to do for this position. Because I don't have time to interview 5 more people.
Exactly.
So please, number 1 interview, please be the right person, because I don't want to do this anymore. And so I'm hoping that just as much. So the employer and the employee, they have aligned goals at the start of the interview. And you can interview the employer just as much as they're interviewing you, because you're trying to find the right fit for you.
And if you get a no, be aware of that. The people who succeed, you only see the success, right? Until I became the program director here, I can't count how many no's I got and how many interviews and so on, and job applications I had to make.
Well, when I was searching for jobs, and my very first job, I couldn't get a job, and I was working at a copy store 2 months later. 4 years after that, I was a creative director at Fox Studios with a window office overlooking Beverly Hills, and that was 4 years later. So what I could see in myself and my potential, no employer could see it. You at a low end start does not mean that there's no success in your future. I have a little thing, I've used it on my Instagram, but it's where you start is not a reflection of your future value. It's not. Cool. You start wherever, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to climb whatever mountain in this industry that you want to climb.
Shall we check for more input
Yes, more
here?
questions. Good.
So, hello. I am advertising a creative who makes memes about the Swedish industry. My idea is to become the world's first meme consultant and meme-fluencer.
Wow.
Memes with advertising. Thoughts?
Fun. That's an interesting thing. I've never heard that before, and that's really interesting. But if you think about social media and viral advertising and how important that is, that's an interesting idea. So kudos to you. I've never heard that before. It's really unique.
Great.
I don't think you're competing with very many people, which is a nice thing. So niching, when I talk about niching, I'm always talking about you want to niche down to where you can, as tight as you can, but you still have enough potential clients to fund your business. And so you keep niching tight. And so that's a really tight niche, meme consulting, but worldwide, there may be enough people willing to pay for that to sustain your business. So you're gonna have to go and experiment and market and create everything that needs to happen around that, and experiment with that niche and see if it's a viable niche. So you niche tight to the point of viability, and if you niche too deep, then you are no longer viable, you can't sustain the business. So people who do similar to that are social media consultants. So if you're talking about niching, I have a Instagram post about a niche funnel. And so here on the bottom of this funnel, you would have meme consulting. But if you take it one step wider of a niche, you would say, okay, social media consulting. And that we know is a viable niche. There are agencies built on just social media advertising and consulting. So that's a viable niche. So the question that you have to ask yourself, and you're not going to be able to really know until you start to experiment with your marketing, is meme consulting only, which is a tighter niche, is that still viable?
Cool. And yeah, my advice is to try to kill that darling as quickly as possible and look if it survives. So
yeah,
try to find a focus group of people who might be interested in your product and test it as quickly as possible, because I don't know if it could work.
Yeah, yeah, I don't either. But my knee-jerk thinking is that the tighter you niche, the smaller the competitive landscape. And so you just have to find out if there are enough customers looking for it, because you know that you're not competing against very many people. If you say social media consulting, all of a sudden you're competing with thousands of other providers worldwide. But meme consulting, maybe 10, 20, 30, I don't know, 100 maybe. But even if it's 100, that's still, I mean, there are millions of designers in the world. So if your top niche is I'm a designer, now you're competing with millions. Social media consulting, now you're competing with thousands. Meme consulting, maybe you're competing with tens or hundreds. Then that's a nice thing about niching, because the competitive landscape gets smaller.
Send us one of your first memes about
this.
Yes.
Hey, make a meme of this. Hey!
Cool. I think we're running out of time, because you have to meet your class.
I do.
Right?
I have a workshop I'm doing here.
Yeah. You had the 3 days workshop,
yes,
right?
3-day workshop.
Organized by students.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
I love my students.
Oh, it has been so great. Like last night I posted a picture of our group on day 2, and I started to get so sad that it's ending today. So it's been so great. The class is so amazing. What I love about Hyper Island, and I didn't know this before, is that people are here from all over the world. People in this class are from Philippines and Chile and Argentina and Sweden, and yeah, it's just everywhere, and it's so great. I love that. I love the diversity in the class, and then everybody is so nice. I've built real friendships just in the last couple of days that are going to last for my whole life, I hope. And so that's been really fun. It's just been wonderful. This is a great little campus too. It's just, I love everything about Hyper Island. It's great.
It's where Hyper Island has been founded for 22 years ago.
Yeah,
right?
That's awesome. And you have campuses now in Singapore, Brazil, Stockholm in UK, and Manchester, and New York City, right?
Yeah.
It's awesome. Cool. It's awesome. Yeah, really cool. Hyper Island. It's awesome.
So I hope to see you back.
Yeah, me too. Let's make it happen. Yeah. Well, that'd be great too. I would love that.
Yeah. So time for some buns now.
All right. Awesome.
And a coffee sip. And if you have more questions, post them here. We have a Q&A with the students with Mike this afternoon, and there will be some more on social media where we can have maybe a resume and a video on the YouTube Hicks channel and the Hyper Island YouTube channel. So
awesome.
Great. I hope it worked. Here on Instagram looks good.
Yeah, it looks like we stayed live the whole time.
I hope so.
Yep.
Okay, let's make a clap, like
Thank
one
you.
of our checkouts.
All right, you ready? Yes,
like
I do know the checkout. I love that little thing. Yeah.
So what are we checking out with before the clap? A checkout question.
checkout points.
Maybe someone suggests it's a checkout question. Help us with the checkout question.
One word to describe Karlskrona and Hyper Island. Hyper Island, Karlskrona. One word to describe. I'll do mine first.
Okay.
All right. I clap and then I say my thing. Culture. Check out.
Team.
Ooh, good one. That's a good one. All right. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. That was fun. Thank you.
Bye-bye. So, we push the stop button here.
Yeah, and then you need to save it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there on the top right.
223 euros.
Wow, nice.
And you share it. Yeah, I was on the right account.
Good.
And